People of the internet, welcome back to another video. It is I, Don Thomas, back in here. As always, greatly appreciative of you guys tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the likes, the comments, the subscribes. Keeps me going, keeps the fuel in the tank. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into today's topic. A topic that I at first didn't really care to speak on, but as it's been developing, I'm like, wait, what do I think about this? And of course, what do you guys think about this, right? Now, of course, as many of you might be aware, predominantly, I guess, affecting Canada, East Coast of the United States. Of course, it says here, East Coast slammed by wildfire smoke, air quality warning. So, at first, how did I find out about this information? Oh, yeah, so today is what, Thursday? I guess I'll timestamp myself today as well, too. So, it's Thursday right now. Yesterday, of course, was when I think this news broke, maybe late Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, whatever the case is. So I go out. I had a dentist appointment early in the morning yesterday. By the way, I have Invisalign aligners in my teeth. You guys have been wondering, like, yo, what's wrong with his mouth? I have aligners in my teeth, just so you're aware. Like, wait, what's going on? For a few more months. But anyway, so I go out, go to my dentist appointment, and I walk outside. I'm like, what the hell is that smell? Literally, like, yo, what's that smell? And it was hazy. Like, it was indeed cloudy, hazy. I'm like, wait, what? Now, I just kept it pushing. I was like, all right, whatever. This is before I even knew anything about anything that was happening. I just kind of kept it pushing, like, whatever. Okay, cool. It's just one of those days. And then I get done with my appointment, of course. Come back home. Of course, get on social media and understand what the full extent of what was happening. I'm like, okay, that's what it was. You know, which I thought was pretty interesting because it's like, you know, how things kind of transpire, you know, being that, you know, of course, I'm currently located in the Virginia area for now. So, of course, I was affected by this, you know, not as severely as I would say New York and other places, of course, a little bit further up north, New York, New Jersey, things of that nature. So I wouldn't say we got to tell the worst end of it, but of course, we were still affected, yada, yada, and it's still progressing. So at first, I'm like, all right, cool, wildfires, cool. I'll take it, whatever you say. I mean, just stay indoors, right, as they've been advising. No harm, no foul. And then, you know, and I never want to be this guy. I think I said this before as well, too, right? Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, right? I'm just a guy who, which of course I always advise you guys as well, when the media tells me one thing, I take it, I absorb the information, I process it, and then I draw my own conclusions, right? I've always said this before, man, and I think now we're understanding, especially with, you know, all the deep fakes and the things that we've been, you know, seeing, that the capabilities of new AI technology and how things can be misconstrued and this, that, and the other. I always advise you guys, don't take things at face value, especially in this day and age right now. It's like, always do a little bit more research, gather your own thoughts, take a little bit from here, take a little bit from there, gather your own thoughts, come up with your own conclusions, right? I'm always going to be a big advocate for doing exactly that. So, the media says, right, that yeah, indeed, wildfires have broken out. Smoke is making its way here. The air is toxic. There's nanoparticles in the air, this, that, and the other. Please, you know, be advised, anybody who has this, that, and the other. Ooh, cool. And I'm like, all right, cool. We'll take that. All right, if you guys say so. Of course, there's video, there's footage. Of course, you got to be mindful of those as well, too. I don't know how orange the city really was. If you're in New York, let me know down in the comments down below. If it was really that orange? I was seeing videos of it. The skies were really orange. Things were really looking hazy out there. Of course, okay, whatever the case is, cool. No harm, no foul. So I'm not going to say that that wasn't indeed the case, but the reasoning is always why I question things like, was it just indeed wildfires? Maybe. Of course, I'm seeing some other things. Of course, you know, the people are blaming it on global warming, right? Of course, this is just one tick in the arguments on the side of people who are global warmists and, you know, feel very passionate about us putting all our attention on that and how, you know, the carbons and things of that nature are really faltering and this, that, and the other. And I hear you. Maybe you're right. Then, of course, you have your people who believe in the agenda of depopulation, right? Which I'm open to entertain that idea as well, too, if you don't know what I'm referring to. Some people do believe that there is an agenda from whoever, I'm not going to say who, or whatever, because I maybe just don't know, honestly. But some people believe that the world is overpopulated and all these things, like the things that took place in 2020 and things that, all these like random, food breakouts. Anytime you hear like a E. coli breakout on food, or like, oh, what are the cases? Oh, or recall on X amount. It's like, was this, purposely put out into the public to knock off a few numbers of the 8 billion people that are on the planet? Hey, maybe not. The point I'm trying to make on this video as well, too, is not one thing that I kind of realized and was kind of brought to the forefront of my thoughts. Let's not dive into conspiracies today. We'll save that for another video. Whatever you believe is the cause of these wildfires or the smoke that's causing us to stay inside and harming people, the air quality, making it hard for people to breathe. Whether you believe is the cause of that, cool, that's that. What really resonated with me, and I was having a conversation, I was talking with my family as well, too, had a conversation with my sister. It's like, yo, look how susceptible the human race is to, like, chaos, right? Like, the day before, earlier, Sunday, Monday, whatever, 24 hours before this news broke, or whatever the case is, we all went to sleep, woke up, and thought nothing of it, right? All was good, right? We woke up the next day, and then you found out, hey, stay indoors. Hey, be mindful of, particles in the air, whatever the case is, that are going to make it hard to breathe, especially if you have heart problems, lung problems, this and the other. It kind of hit me like, man, like, and I've been thinking about this for some time. It's just like, look how vulnerable the human species is to, like, chaos and the elements, right? Just the elements alone. Mind you, there's a million ways to die, right? and sorry if this got dark real quick, but I always think about this stuff, man. It's like, look what the elements alone can do to the human species in terms of just, like, wiping us out, right? Like, an excessive amount of water could wipe us out, right? Flooding, tornadoes, and things of that nature. And an excessive amount of wind could wipe us out. An excessive amount of the earth trembling, right? So earthquakes can cause damage and wipe us out, right? Water, heat, like, these are just the elements. Mind you, we're not even talking about the harm that we do to each other every single day. Humans, human on human endangerment, or whatever you want to call it, human on human violence. The elements alone makes me, I'll speak for myself, makes me feel so small. Like, yo, the right amount of water can wipe out an entire, what are these places like, low sea levels, I forget where, but there's certain areas on the world, we all know this, that if the sea levels raise, they wipe out whole cities, whole states, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? So I'm like, man, like, we've seen footage. I was seeing something the other day where an ocean swallowed a boat whole. Like, the boat, of course, we know the stories of, like, the Titanic, but this is like a regular yacht-sized boat, or whatever the case is. I'm like, yo, water, right? The X amount of water can cause people to drown, could cause flooding, could cause, people to evacuate. Of course, we've seen what happened in Hurricane Katrina, things of that nature. The elements, right? Which was just a reminder to me, and maybe hopefully a reminder to you guys as well, too, that as humans, we can't really take our lives for granted. We can't. I think sometimes humans can be arrogant in terms of feeling like we're on top of the world. And like, we call the show. We're calling all the shots. We're in charge. Nothing can stop us. But look what some wind and some fire and some smoke can do to set us back. Right? And then, like, even just like the way we kind of maneuver in the world in terms of just like our freeness and like whatever the case is. Look how we saw it in 2020, right? Where it's just like, you wake up one day and it's like, hey, you're being told, hey, don't go anywhere. You're in the crib, and you're in the crib. You're at home, right? It's like things could go left real quick is basically what I'm trying to get to. I think the main thing I'm trying to get to, and what this whole air quality situation kind of reminded me, is just like, yo, humans, we're very tiny on this world, people. I feel like we walk around with a level of arrogance sometimes, like, and people will say, well, this is out of our control. Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make as well, too. This is out of our control. There's not really preventative maintenance you can do on such things. Now, again, if you believe this was a man-made catastrophe, because there are such things as weather machines. Look it up. You do know, like, there's forced rain and forced snow. Like, you do know there is a weather machine, which makes me kind of question all the storms of the past, or what are the cases and storms that will come in the future. So it's like, again, I'm not really here to dive on conspiracies. It's just it's interesting to me, and of course you see on social media the level of, I guess you can say, like, for lack of a better word, the lack of organization or the lack of preparedness. Again, I don't know necessarily how you could be prepared for such a situation, but look how quickly things could go left, right? Look how quickly you can be going about your day, cha la 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 la, I'm gonna have fun today, and then be told, up, stay inside because the air, you can't breathe the air properly, right? Ain't that something? I feel like anytime we go to sleep at night, man, be grateful. One, like I always try to practice for myself, practice gratitude, because you don't know what we're going to wake, especially in the times we are in this world right now, with everything that's happening and everything that will be happening coming soon. Of course, the election and all, technological advances that I'm always constantly speaking on this channel. You never know what we're going to wake up to. When you go to sleep, what am I going to wake up to the next day? Like, I open up, I'm big on Twitter, of course, where the case is, in terms of where I get my news and just information, where the case is. You never know what headline you're going to see the next morning when you wake up the next day. It just makes me think, like, man, humans, like, yo, we walk around like we are in charge of everything and like, oh, I know what tomorrow's going to bring, or I'll be, but it's just like, yo, look how quickly, an inconvenience, and then people get so flustered and rattled, like, oh man, right? People are like, oh man, this is a damper in my day, right? Like, oh, I'm being told to stay inside. Bro, the message of this video, man, of course, again, this is just me just talking now, of course, but things like this, events like this, just kind of make me understand that as humans, we are small, and we should stop taking life for granted. We should stop taking people for granted. And the freedoms that we do have, the ability to, walk outside on our own leisure can be taken away from us just like that. We've seen it before. And how we're, would sometimes be held by, greater authorities, the governments, whatever the case is, to, once they enforce some rules, that's it. Like, once some rules get implemented or mandated, of course, this is just an advisory. People are free to still walk outside in this condition, in this one. But what else would happen one day where it's like, hey, this just in, breaking news, drop everything you're doing, this is what's happening, right? People, what I always say as well too, and again, situations like this, I don't know if there's much levels of preventative maintenance. Now maybe we know, hey, maybe we should focus on air purification and things of that nature. I don't really know how much preventative maintenance we could do in situations like this. But there are other elements of life where, again, if we put down some foundation of, hey man, in the event of an emergency, let's do this, we'll be a lot more prepared, in terms of, I'm not going to say sit here, we should all be doomsday preppers and things of that nature, but try to, advice for myself, of course, and advice for anybody as well who may be watching, use these situations as like reminders to us, like, hey man, things can go left. Tomorrow is not, and you hear this all the time, tomorrow's not guaranteed. Your plans for tomorrow can be wiped out and made irrelevant when wildfires start happening, right? And of course, I'm seeing this is only going to progress a little bit more. Of course, there's an air advisory, whatever they were calling it, for the next few days. So of course, I've been indoors, and again, I'm a homebody, so you telling me to stay inside is not a problem for me at all, right? But for all the people across the world, whether this has affected you or not, whether you have family members who this has affected, whether you're in Canada or the northern east states, and I think it's making its way further down south as well too. So if it hasn't made its rounds to you, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But remember that things can go left pretty quick, right? So knowing that, be grateful. Every day you get the opportunity to lay your head down in your bed and open your eyes up the next morning, be grateful. Every day that you're able to leave out the house and come back and be amongst your family and your friends and your peers, be grateful. Because we are small as humans on this planet. You never know what you're going to wake up to the next day. So me, of course, you can plan whatever the case is. I like to maybe plan, I have quarterly plans, I have day plans, but let's operate in windows of 24 hours. Every 24 hours, just like, all right, cool, fresh reset. Let me move accordingly. Everything's still cool, no hazardous warnings. All right, I could go about my day. That's what this kind of thing did for me. That's just my kind of 2 cents on it. Again, I really didn't really care to speak on it at first, but it is progressing, and I am seeing how it's being a crutch to a lot of people and an inconvenience to a lot of people, which I always think is interesting. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts, people, if you have any? Were you affected by this? How did you feel knowing? How did this obscure any of your plans that you had? And again, if you want to drop some conspiracies down in the comments, hey, I'm all for it. I'm the guy that's going to entertain those. I don't think anybody has a wrong answer when it comes to that. But again, that wasn't necessarily the point of this video in particular. But hey, if you want to drop some conspiracies as to the origins of this whole happening, go ahead and drop it down in the comment section. Greatly appreciated. And of course, I will catch you guys on the next one.